Everyone pitied her husband. No money, no power, no respect. What she didn't know was that he was the one man powerful people were terrified of. Maya thought she married a failure, a quiet, broke man who never fought back. But by the end of this story, she would realize her biggest mistake wasn't marrying him, it was leaving him. Stay with me, because this truth came out too late. Maya married Ethan Cole against her family's wishes. He wore cheap clothes, drove an old car, and worked a meaningless job as a warehouse supervisor. At family gatherings, people whispered, "Is this the best she could do? She could have married better. What does she even see in him?" Ethan never defended himself. He just smiled and stayed quiet. Maya told herself love was enough, but over time, love wasn't paying the bills, and resentment slowly replaced respect. But what Maya didn't know was that Ethan's silence was intentional, because Ethan wasn't avoiding confrontation. He was avoiding exposure. The wedding had been small. Maya's parents refused to help pay for it. "We're not funding a mistake," her father said coldly. So they got married at City Hall. No flowers, no photographer, just two witnesses and a justice of the peace who seemed half asleep. Maya wore a white dress from a department store. Ethan wore the only suit he owned. Her mother cried not from joy, but from disappointment. "You're throwing your life away," she whispered at the courthouse steps. Maya ignored her. She believed in Ethan, believed in them. But belief doesn't pay rent. Their first apartment was a studio in the worst part of town. Sirens at night, broken elevator, stains on the carpet that wouldn't come out. Ethan worked night shifts at the warehouse. Maya worked as a junior marketing coordinator. Together, they barely made enough to survive. But Maya convinced herself it was temporary, that things would get better. What she didn't realize was that Ethan was testing her, testing if she could love him when he had nothing. And slowly, painfully, she was failing that test. The first crack appeared at Maya's company holiday party. It was held at an upscale hotel, open bar, live band, everyone dressed to impress. Maya wore a dress she had saved for months to buy. Ethan wore his usual cheap button-down and wrinkled slacks. The moment they walked in, Maya felt the eyes. Her coworkers glanced at Ethan, then quickly looked away. The judgment was silent but suffocating. Maya's boss, Richard, approached with a champagne glass in hand. "Maya, so glad you could make it." He turned to Ethan with a forced smile. "And this must be your husband?" "Yes," Maya said quickly. "This is Ethan." Richard extended his hand. "Richard Chen, VP of Marketing." "So, Ethan, what do you do?" Ethan shook his hand firmly. "I work in logistics." "Logistics? Interesting. Which company?" "Metro Distribution." Richard's smile faltered slightly. Anyone in business knew Metro Distribution. It was a low-level warehousing company. "Ah," Richard said. "Well, every industry needs good people." The condescension was barely hidden. After Richard walked away, Maya turned to Ethan. "Why didn't you make it sound better?" "I told the truth," Ethan said calmly. "You could have said supply chain management or something." Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. "Would that have changed what he thinks of me?" Maya had no answer. They left the party early. That night, in their tiny apartment, Maya cried. "I'm so tired, Ethan," she sobbed. "I'm tired of being embarrassed." Ethan sat beside her, silent. "I love you," she continued. "But love doesn't pay our bills. Love doesn't earn respect." Ethan's voice was soft. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to want more," she shouted. "I want you to fight for something, anything." Ethan stood up slowly, walked to the window, stared out at the city lights. "I see," he said quietly, and something in his tone made Maya's skin prickle. But she was too upset to notice. Things got worse when Maya got promoted. 6 months later, she became a senior marketing manager. Her salary doubled. She got a company car, an executive office with her name on the door. Suddenly, she was the breadwinner. And Ethan was still wearing the same cheap clothes, still driving the same beat-up car, still working the same dead-end warehouse job. Maya started attending networking events alone. When colleagues asked about her husband, she would change the subject. "So, Maya, is your husband in business too?" "No, he's in operations." "Operations? Like consulting?" "Something like that." She had perfected the art of vague answers. One night, Maya was invited to an exclusive industry dinner. The invitation said +1. She debated for hours. Bringing Ethan would mean explaining him. Not bringing him would mean lying about why. In the end, she brought him, but she regretted it immediately. The dinner was at a five-star restaurant. Everyone was dressed immaculately, talking about investments, international travel, vacation homes. Ethan sat quietly, eating his meal, politely nodding when spoken to. At one point, a woman named Veronica asked him directly, "So Ethan, what do you do?" Before he could answer, Maya jumped in. "He's figuring out his next move," she said with a forced smile. "Career transition." Veronica's eyebrows raised. "Oh, what did you do before?" Ethan set down his fork. His eyes met Maya's. There was something in his gaze, something that made her stomach drop. "I worked in distribution," he said calmly. "Distribution?" Veronica looked confused. "Like pharmaceuticals?" "No," Ethan said. "Warehousing." The table went quiet. Maya wanted to disappear. After dinner, in the car, the silence was deafening. Finally, Ethan spoke. "You're ashamed of me." "I'm not." "Yes, you are." His voice wasn't angry. Just factual. "And that's okay. I understand." "Ethan, I've always understood, Maya. That's not the issue." "Then what is?" He pulled into their apartment complex, turned off the engine, looked at her. "The issue is that you've made your choice. And now I need to make mine." Maya felt tears forming. "What does that mean?" Ethan got out of the car without answering, and Maya felt something shift, something permanent. 2 weeks later, Maya came home to find Ethan packing. Not much. He didn't have much to pack. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Giving you what you want," Ethan said quietly. "I never said I wanted you to leave." "You didn't have to." He zipped up his duffel bag, grabbed his jacket. Maya's tears were falling freely now. "So that's it? You're just giving up?" Ethan paused at the door, turned to face her. "I'm not giving up, Maya. I'm setting you free." "I don't want to be free. You want a different version of me?" he said softly. "One that doesn't exist. And I'm tired of pretending I can become that person." "Ethan, please. I loved you with everything I had," he said. "But it wasn't enough. And that's not your fault. It's just the truth." He opened the door. "Wait." Maya grabbed his arm. "Can we at least talk about this?" Ethan gently removed her hand. "There's nothing left to talk about." And he walked out. Maya stood in the doorway, sobbing, watching the taillights of his old car disappear into the night. She told herself she would feel relieved eventually, that this was for the best. But deep down, she felt like she had just made the worst mistake of her life. Before we continue, if you're still with this story, it means you understand that real drama isn't about explosions and scandals. It's about the quiet moments, the small choices, the regrets that haunt us. Most people won't make it this far. So if you enjoy deep, emotional stories like this, please subscribe. You're exactly the kind of viewer this channel is made for. The divorce papers arrived 3 weeks later. Maya stared at them for hours. Everything was fair. He wasn't asking for anything. No alimony. No shared assets. Clean break. At the bottom, in Ethan's handwriting, "I hope you find what you're looking for. You deserve to be happy. E." Maya signed the papers with shaking hands. Her friends were supportive. "You did the right thing," they said. "You can't carry someone forever. You deserve a partner, not a burden." Maya nodded along, but their words felt hollow. She threw herself into work. More hours, more projects, more promotions. Within 6 months, she was director of marketing. Her salary tripled. She moved into a luxury apartment downtown, bought designer clothes, drove a German sports car, everything she thought she wanted. But at night, in her expensive bed, she felt emptier than ever. She would scroll through her phone, looking at old photos of her and Ethan. His smile, his quiet strength, the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world. And she had wonder. Did I make a mistake? 3 months after the divorce was finalized, strange things started happening. Maya's company lost a major investor. The announcement came without warning. Richard, now CEO, called an emergency meeting. "Harrison Industries has pulled their funding," he said, his face pale. Effective immediately. The room erupted in panic. "Why?" someone asked. No explanation. They just withdrew. Maya's stomach twisted. Harrison Industries was their biggest client, worth millions. Losing them meant layoffs, budget cuts, possible bankruptcy. But that was just the beginning. 2 weeks later, another investor pulled out. then another, then another. Maya's department took a 20% budget cut. Projects were canceled. Staff were let go. The office became a pressure cooker of stress and paranoia. Richard started having closed-door meetings with lawyers. Whispers spread through the hallways. Someone's sabotaging us. It's corporate espionage. We're being targeted. But no one could figure out by whom. Maya worked 18-hour days trying to save campaigns, trying to keep the company afloat. But every time they made progress, another disaster struck. A partnership fell through. A contract was mysteriously terminated. A potential client suddenly went cold. It was like an invisible hand was dismantling everything. One night, working late, Maya overheard Richard on the phone. "I don't care what it takes," he hissed. "Find out who's behind this. Someone is destroying us, and I want to know who." A long pause. "What do you mean, untraceable? Everyone has a trail." Another pause. Richard's face went white. "Are you sure?" He hung up, sat in silence, then whispered to himself, "It's him. It has to be him." Maya's blood ran cold. Him? Him who? Across the city, in a penthouse office overlooking the skyline, Ethan Cole sat in darkness. The floor-to-ceiling windows reflected the city lights. His phone rang. "Yes?" A voice on the other end. "Phase 3 complete. Harrison Industries has fully divested. Chen Marketing is now vulnerable." Ethan's expression didn't change. "Good. Proceed to Phase 4. Sir, if I may, this is unusually aggressive, even for you." "Is this personal?" Ethan was silent for a long moment. "No," he finally said. "It's educational." He hung up, stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city he secretly controlled. For 5 years, Ethan had played the role of nobody, wore cheap clothes, drove a cheap car, worked a meaningless job, all to test the woman he loved, to see if she could love him without power, without money, without status. And she couldn't. Ethan wasn't angry. He was disappointed, because Maya had no idea who she had married. And now she was about to find out. The final investor meeting was scheduled for Thursday afternoon. It was a last-ditch effort to save the company. Richard had somehow secured a meeting with a mysterious investment firm. "They're our last hope," he told the executive team. "If this doesn't work, we're done." Maya sat in the conference room, exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hands shaking from too much coffee. She had given everything to this company, and it was crumbling anyway. The door opened. Richard entered, looking nervous. "They're here," he said. "Everyone, please be professional. Our entire future depends on this." The door opened again, and Maya's heart stopped, because walking into the conference room, wearing an immaculate suit, was Ethan, but not the Ethan she knew. This Ethan was different. His posture was different. His expression was different. His entire presence was different. He radiated power, authority, control. Behind him walked 2 lawyers and a financial advisor. Richard's face went from nervous to confused. "Mr. Cole," he said carefully. "Thank you for meeting with us." Ethan nodded. His eyes swept the room, landed on Maya, held her gaze for 3 seconds, then moved on, as if she were a stranger. Maya couldn't breathe. "What is happening?" Ethan sat at the head of the table, gestured for his team to sit, then looked at Richard. "Let's begin." The meeting lasted 2 hours. Richard presented everything: financial projections, marketing strategies, growth potential. Ethan listened silently, asked a few pointed questions that revealed he knew more about the company than anyone in the room. Maya sat frozen, her mind racing. This can't be real. This can't be Ethan. But it was. And slowly, horrifyingly, the truth was dawning on her. Finally, Ethan stood. "Thank you for your presentation," he said. "My team will review and be in touch." Richard stood too, desperate. "Mr. Cole, if I may, we're in a critical situation. We need a decision soon." Ethan's expression didn't change. "I'm aware." He turned to leave. Maya found her voice. "Ethan." He stopped, turned slowly. "Yes, Miss Chen?" "Miss Chen, not Maya. Not sweetheart. Miss Chen. Can we talk? Privately?" Ethan glanced at his watch. "I have another meeting." "Please," she whispered. "Just 5 minutes." The room was silent, everyone staring. Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. For a moment, she saw something in his eyes, something that looked like sadness. Then it was gone. "My assistant will schedule something," he said, and he walked out. Maya sat back down, her legs weak. Richard stared at her. You know him? Maya nodded, unable to speak. How? She swallowed hard. He's my ex-husband. The room exploded. If this story is hitting you in the chest, if you need to know what happens next, then subscribing is the only way to make sure you don't miss the ending. These stories take time, emotion, and heart to create, and your support truly matters. Maya went home in a daze. Her mind couldn't process what she had seen. Ethan. Her Ethan, the man who drove a beat-up car, the man who wore thrift store clothes, the man she had pitied, was in a $10,000 suit, commanding a room of executives, holding the fate of her company in his hands. She opened her laptop, searched. Ethan Cole, investor. The results made her stomach drop. Article after article. Mysterious billionaire. Ethan Cole invests in tech startup. Who is Ethan Cole? The invisible titan of finance. Cole Enterprises quietly acquires major stake in Fortune 500 company. Maya clicked on a Forbes article from 3 years ago. There was a photo blurry, taken from a distance, but it was him. The article described him as one of the most powerful investors in the country, known for his anonymity and ruthless business strategies, estimated net worth, $4.2 billion. Maya's hands shook. $4 billion. She kept reading. Cole is famous for living below his means, often going undercover to observe companies and people before investing. He's known to test potential partners by appearing as a low-level employee or consultant. Maya felt like she was going to be sick. It all made sense now. The warehouse job, the cheap clothes, the silence when people mocked him. He was testing her, and she had failed. She had failed so completely. Maya sobbed, not just from shock, but from loss, because she'd had something invaluable. A man who loved her unconditionally, a man who could have given her everything, and she had thrown him away because he didn't look like enough. 3 days later, Maya finally got her meeting. She was escorted to a private office downtown. Glass walls, modern furniture, breathtaking view. Ethan stood by the window, hands in his pockets. He didn't turn when she entered. Sit, he said. Maya sat. Her mouth was dry. Finally, Ethan turned, looked at her. What did you want to say? Maya's voice cracked. I'm sorry. Ethan said nothing. I didn't know, she continued. I had no idea who you were. Would it have mattered? He asked quietly. What? If you had known I was wealthy, would you have loved me more? Maya opened her mouth, closed it, because the honest answer was devastating. Yes, she would have. Ethan saw it in her face. He nodded. That's what I thought. Ethan, please. I loved you, he said simply. More than I've ever loved anyone. And I wanted to know if you could love me without the money, without the power, without the image. Tears streamed down Maya's face. I did love you. You loved the idea of me, Ethan corrected. You loved the version you thought I could become. But you never loved who I actually was. That's not fair, she whispered. Isn't it? Ethan's voice was soft. Every time someone disrespected me, you agreed with them. Every time I didn't meet your expectations, you resented me. You were ashamed to introduce me to your colleagues. I was scared, Maya said. Scared of being judged. So was I, Ethan said. But I loved you enough to stay anyway. The silence was crushing. Why did you come to that meeting? Maya asked. Why target my company? I store everyone. Ethan walked to his desk, pulled out a folder, slid it across to her. I'm not targeting your company, he said. I'm saving it. Maya opened the folder. Inside was a comprehensive investment proposal, a plan to inject capital, restructure debt, save every job. She looked up, confused. I don't understand. I withdrew the other investors to create leverage, Ethan explained, to force your company to the negotiating table. My terms are simple. I invest, but I retain controlling interest. Richard Chen steps down. And you, he paused. You get promoted to CEO. Maya's jaw dropped. What? You're good at your job, Ethan said. Despite everything, you're talented. You deserve the opportunity. I don't want it, Maya whispered. Not like this. This isn't charity, Ethan said. It's business. You'll earn every penny, and you'll answer to my board. Ethan, he held up a hand. This is my offer. Take it or leave it, but my investment isn't contingent on us getting back together. That ship has sailed. Maya felt her heart shatter. Is there any chance? She asked, her voice breaking. Any chance you could forgive me? Ethan was quiet for a long time. Maybe, he said finally. But not today. And not because of who I am now. Then when? When you figure out who you are, Ethan said. And what you actually value. He walked to the door, opened it. Your answer is due by Friday. My assistant will send the contracts. Maya stood on shaking legs. Ethan, wait. He paused. I really did love you, she said. I'm sorry I didn't love you better. Ethan's expression softened slightly. So am I. And he left. Maya took the deal. Not because she wanted power, but because she wanted to prove something. To Ethan, but more importantly, to herself. She became CEO of what was renamed Chen Cole Marketing. Under her leadership and Ethan's silent backing, the company tripled in size. She worked 16-hour days. Not for the money, not for the status, but to become the person she should have been. She donated to charities, mentored young professionals, treated everyone from the janitors to the executives with equal respect. And slowly, painfully, she grew. Ethan watched from a distance, never interfering, never reaching out, but always there. At board meetings, he was professional, cordial, but distant. 3 years passed. Maya never dated anyone else. How could she? How do you move on from someone you never stopped loving? Someone you destroyed through your own shallow values? One evening, after a particularly successful quarter, Maya found a handwritten note on her desk. In Ethan's handwriting, I'm proud of who you've become, E. Maya held the note and cried, not from sadness, but from gratitude, because Ethan had given her something more valuable than love. He had given her a chance to become better. 4 years after the divorce, Maya was attending a charity gala. She had donated a significant amount to a children's hospital. While mingling, she saw him, Ethan, in a tailored tux, talking with a group of philanthropists. Their eyes met across the room. He smiled, a real smile, not the polite, distant one from board meetings. He excused himself and walked over. Hello, Maya. Hi, Ethan. They stood in comfortable silence. You look well, he said. So do you. More silence. I read about your education initiative, Ethan said, providing scholarships for underprivileged kids. That's impressive. I learned from the best, Maya said softly. Someone once showed me that real worth isn't about what you have. It's about what you give. Ethan's expression warmed. Would you like to dance? He asked. Maya's heart skipped. I would love to. They moved to the dance floor. As they swayed to the music, Maya spoke. I've spent 4 years trying to become someone worthy of you. Maya, please, let me finish. She took a breath. I can't change the past. I can't undo the hurt I caused. But I can promise you this. I finally understand. Love isn't about what someone can give you. It's about who they are when they have nothing to prove. Ethan was quiet. And? He asked gently. And you are the best man I've ever known. Rich or poor. Powerful or powerless. You've always been enough. Ethan stopped dancing, looked into her eyes. Do you really mean that? With everything I am? He smiled. That beautiful, genuine smile she had fallen in love with years ago. Then maybe, he said softly, we can start over. Slowly. As friends first. Maya nodded, tears in her eyes. I would like that. They continued dancing. And for the first time in 4 years, Maya felt truly wealthy. Not because of her success, not because of her status, but because she had finally learned what really mattered. 6 months later, Ethan and Maya went on their first official date, not to a fancy restaurant, but to a small diner, the kind they used to go to when they were broke. Ethan wore jeans and a simple shirt. Maya wore casual clothes. They split a burger and shared fries, and laughed like they used to. Can I ask you something? Maya said. Anything. Why did you really test me? Was it just to see if I would fail? Ethan shook his head. No, I tested everyone I got close to. Investors, friends, partners, because I wanted to know who valued me versus who valued my money. And most people failed, he admitted, including you. But you're the only one who ever came back, who actually changed, who became better. Was it worth it? Maya asked. The test? Ethan took her hand. Yes. because it showed me something I didn't expect. What? That people can grow, that failure isn't final, and that the right person, given the right chance, can become exactly who they were meant to be. Maya squeezed his hand. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving you right. Ethan smiled. I'm counting on it. They remarried 2 years later. Small ceremony. Just close friends and family. No extravagance. No showboating. Just two people who had learned the hard way what really mattered. Maya's mother attended. She approached Ethan after the ceremony. I owe you an apology, she said. I judged you. I was wrong. Ethan smiled kindly. You were protecting your daughter. I understand. She's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. Ethan corrected. Years later, at a business conference, someone asked Ethan about his unusual approach. Why do you still live so modestly? The interviewer asked. You're worth billions. Ethan smiled. Because wealth isn't about what you have, it's about what you don't need. And what don't you need? To prove anything to anyone, Ethan said. Except myself. Maya lost a man the world feared, because she only valued what she could see. And Ethan learned that love without respect is just another form of poverty. But unlike most stories, this one had a second chance. Because true wealth isn't found in bank accounts. It's found in the courage to become better. If this story moved you even a little, subscribing is the simplest way to support this channel. These stories take time, emotion, and heart to create, and your support truly matters. Because stories that change us deserve to be shared. The end.